This is your Weather Xtreme video for Sunday, April the 9th. I'm meteorologist Brian Peters. Thanks for tuning in. And by the way, thank you to the 200 plus folks who showed up at the BJCC yesterday to learn a little more about storm spotting in the state of Alabama. Satellite image this morning features pretty much clear skies over a good portion of the southeastern U.S. Do have some high cirrus clouds over Tennessee and some of those wispy clouds getting into the western part of Alabama. But for the most part, great weather as high pressure slides off to the east. That high pressure at the surface basically brought good radiational cooling yesterday morning. And our sky watcher at Black Creek reported 30 degrees with frost. A little bit warmer this morning, and one of the reasons for the warmth is that we have a ridge coming overhead as the trough moves off out into the Atlantic, and that ridge generally slides to the east and moves over the eastern part of the country. Temperatures across the United States are actually pretty nice for this time of year. Do note the light blue areas featuring a little bit of freezing weather over parts of New York and New England and over the call it the Central Rockies primarily. No freezing weather this morning in the state of Alabama, though Fort Payne's coming close at 34. But we do see most of central Alabama generally in the 40s this morning. It looks like the week ahead, most of those lows will be in the 50s. The watch warning map features still some freeze and frost advisories along the eastern slopes of the Appalachians. We have some winter weather advisories in the northern Rockies. That's the pink and purple. And then those bright red areas that you see are high fire danger issuances. QPF, this pretty much tells the story for the next 5 days. Yes, we're going to see a cold front approach and probably wash out across the northern portion of the state of Alabama on Wednesday, but it looks like rain is going to be pretty short. Storm Prediction Center has for day one a slight risk area that stretches all the way from near Wichita Falls all the way up across eastern Nebraska, across the western two-thirds of Iowa, and into the western Great Lakes area. On day two, we have two areas, one across in the vicinity of Chicago and the lower part of Michigan, and a second area down over central Texas. And on day three, we have just an outlook along that front of the potential for some thunder. All right, the 060 GFS model run, and we'll have a couple of peeks at some of the European here. There's a look at the surface pattern for today as the surface high slides off and our wind will gradually come around to the south. And as that does, we're going to see things warm up nicely. The ridge on Monday, the upper air chart forecast for Monday shows the ridge over the eastern part of the country along the east coast. It pretty much stays there and maybe even moves a little out into the Atlantic as the ridge keeps all the traveling weather systems well to our north. But on Tuesday, you see a pretty strong system, short wave moving through the Great Lakes. That will help to create a surface low, but that will drag a front down into our area. But the front is not likely to get here on Tuesday, more like Wednesday. And interestingly enough, the European is in excellent agreement with the GFS. So good model agreement means reasonably good confidence. That system over the Great Lakes moves on slowly with a little bit of a disturbance stretching down from it into the southeastern U.S. So again, the front is likely to kind of push into the Tennessee River Valley and perhaps even central Alabama, but it's going to be very weak. Moisture is going to be very limited, and the result is we don't expect much. As a matter of fact, the GFS is a little more bullish on the potential for showers than the European. The European is much more bullish on having less showers. So the bottom line is probably on Wednesday we'll need to introduce a very small probability of some showers, mostly caused by the heating of the day with very little moisture present. The ridge becomes a dominant feature once again on Thursday, and that will continue into Friday. Now, we do note on Friday a fairly strong little short wave over Oklahoma, and that responsible for some weather as kind of that front stays in the vicinity. But it looks like the weather is going to stay well to our north, so we're going to remain dry. Saturday, that little system comes across, and I think for most of us, we'll see maybe some clouds, and maybe we'll have to say something about an isolated shower or two. But once again, I think for the most part, we're going to stay dry. Sunday, the ridge is a little bit to our west, but that little system that has been moving through is weakening and continuing to weaken as it moves on by. Looking out into voodoo country, the pattern remains pretty much established with a ridge as we see around the 18th of April. The ridge over the eastern part of the country, and a pretty strong ridge at that. That means some pretty warm weather as we see highs mainly in the 80s. The ridge migrates a little bit westward on the 21st or by the 21st, and that puts us in a little bit of a northwesterly flow pattern. So we'll cool down just a little bit. And then around the 24th, we see another nice system coming across parts of Iowa and northern Illinois and the western Great Lakes area, and that system could bring us some weather then. But you know how it is. It's way out in voodoo, so we'll wait and see. That'll do it for the Weather Extreme video for this morning. Expect James Spann to be back in the saddle once again first thing on Monday morning. In the meantime, thanks to all those folks who came out to learn a little more about severe weather at the BJCC. Enjoyed spending the day with them. Have a great day. Godspeed.